Welcome everyone. In today's session, we will break down a key concept in grammar, active and passive voice. We'll cover their definitions, structures, tense changes, and practical examples that apply in real life. By the end of this session, you will have an idea of identifying and understanding the difference between active and passive voice based on sentence structure. Accurately pinpoint the agent and receiver of the action in both active and passive sentences. Convert sentences from active to passive voice and vice versa. Understand and apply tense changes when switching between active and passive forms. Let's start with the active voice. This is when the subject of the sentence performs the action. The sentence structure follows this formula: subject plus verb plus object, who is the receiver of the action, as you can see on the slide. Subject does the action, verb shows the action, and object receives the action. You might think, why use active voice? We do because it is clear, direct, and makes communication easier to understand. Let us look at these examples in different tenses. Present simple. The teacher explains the lesson. Action is performed by the teacher, and the lesson, that is a noun, is the receiver of the action. Past simple. John cleaned the room yesterday. Action is being performed by John, and the room, that is a noun, is the receiver of the action. Future simple. I will bake a cake tomorrow. Action is being performed by yourself, and the cake, that is a noun, is the receiver of the action. This shows that in active voice, the doer of the action is the subject of the sentence. Now let's talk about passive voice. This is when the action happens to the subject and the focus shifts to the receiver of the action rather than the doer. The sentence structure is object plus form to be, past participle, plus by agent or the doer. As you can see on the slide, the object or the receiver of the action starts the sentence. The form to be is used, like is, are, was, is being, will be, and so on, followed by a past participle, and finally the agent or the doer of the action. We use passive voice when the action itself is more important than who performed it, or when the doer is unknown or unimportant. Let us look at these examples in different tenses. Present simple. The lesson is explained by the teacher. The receiver of the action, that is the lesson, starts the sentence, and the agent who performs the action ends the sentence. Who in this example is the teacher. Past simple. The room was cleaned by John yesterday. The receiver of the action, that is the room, starts the sentence, and the agent who performs the action ends the sentence. Who in this example is John. Future simple. A cake will be baked by me tomorrow. The receiver of the action, that is a cake, starts the sentence, and the agent who performs the action ends the sentence. Who in this example is yourself. This shows that passive voice is used when the action is more important than the doer of the action. One key difference between active and passive voice is how tenses change. Let's compare active and passive voice across different tenses. In present simple, active. He writes a letter, and that in a passive voice is written as a letter is written by him. Past simple, They completed the project. The project was completed by them. Future simple, she will deliver the package. The package will be delivered. Now let us look at the perfect tenses and how the to be and past participles are used. Present perfect. They have painted the house. The house has been painted. Past perfect. She had finished the homework. The homework had been finished. Future perfect. He will have built the house. The house will have been built. Keep in mind that passive voice always uses a form of the verb to be, like is, are, was, were, will be, and so on, followed by the past participle. What happens when the sentence is in a continuous tense? Passive sentences in continuous form always have the verb being followed by the past participle. Look for the word being in continuous passive forms to identify them, and don't forget to use it in your passive sentences when it is in continuous form. You can pause the video and go through the examples. Let us practice what we have learned by converting the sentences from active to passive and vice versa. Number 1. They have completed the project is your active voice, and the project was completed by them is your passive. Now let us try the opposite. A book is being written by her is your passive voice, and she is writing a book is your active voice. Let us summarize today's topic. Use passive voice when the action is more important than the doer. Using passive voice is common in news, instructions, and situations where the doer is not important. Pay attention to these changes, especially with continuous forms. Look for the forms of to be, that is, was, will be, being, to identify passive voice, and use active voice for clear and direct communication. Now that you know the difference, try practicing with your own sentences. See if you can switch between active and passive forms. I hope you found it helpful and engaging.